Peter's eye did that weird creepy thing where it went over his nose. Ah, ew, gross. Look at that.
Family Guy creators made the show a fan favorite because of the embarrassing situations they put their beloved characters through for the sake of a punchline. But with a whopping 21 seasons under the belt, creators and animators were bound to make some hilarious slip-ups themselves. We're here to take you through all the mistakes you won't believe you missed, no matter how many times you've binged this series.
I know, I never seen anything like it.
Number 1. We've got to start off by giving some credit to creators for this first mistake. Stewie and Brian point out the show's mistakes.
I know we're not supposed to mess with the timeline, but should we call an ambulance?
The pair use Stewie's time machine to go back in time to find a buried bone. But they end up in different dimensions and into the show's pilot episode. They take the opportunity for some good old self-mockery. For one, we see Peter's eye going over his nose. Stewie's reaction is one we can all relate to.
Ah, ew, gross. Look at that.
Later, Brian and Stewie look into a window at a group of Peter's friends we'd never see again and a TV that isn't even plugged in.
TV's not even plugged in.
Number 2. Speaking of the pilot, there are more animation mistakes Brian and Stewie didn't point out. But you know, we just have to. Seems it was a challenge for animators to draw characters' eyes right in the first episode.
And then there was that time at the ice cream store.
In a flashback of Peter eating ice cream, his eyes get strangely bigger and smaller. In another scene on the family's lawn, Stewie's eyes are drawn way too big. But hey, it was their first crack at it after all.
Honey, I knew everything would turn out okay.
Number 3. During the episode Take My Wife, the couples get tricked into a tropical getaway. Turns out it's a twisted version of marriage counseling. In hopes of escaping, Peter shoots a flare at a plane and it comes crashing down.
You gotta help us!
While Cleveland puts up his hands to cover his head, something weird happens to his face. His mustache disappears for a moment, leaving only a strange outline on his face. It reappears moments later, so it's pretty tough to catch this mistake. Number 4. We knew this festival was going to bring some weirdness, but this? In episode 9 of season 13, Brian and Stewie attend the Rhode Island Folk Festival. A sign of the festival is seen hanging over the main stage. A few shots later, we can see the sign mistakenly reads Rhode Island Fork Festival instead of folk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a hidden prank by animators, but it's likely a funny mistake. Number 5. Alright, now this one is defying Quahog logic. At the end of the episode, Into Harmony's Way, behind Peter we can see Spooner Street where the Griffins and most of their friends live. But look again, there seems to be an intersection next to Cleveland's house that just disappears in the next shot. It's never been part of Spooner Street before, and it never shows up again. Not sure what kind of space warp that was, but we'll chalk it up to human error.
You think you can forgive me?
Oh, Quagmire.
Number 6. Bet you were too busy looking at the Beebs to notice this one.
I'm not into that.
In Lois Comes Out of Her Shell, Lois gets into Justin Bieber's dressing room at his concert. But when we see her through the pop star's mirror, her arm is weirdly detached from her body, as if it's floating. Seconds later, it's right back on her body. No wonder JB was creeped out.
Just get your pants off, hon.
Stop right there!
Number 7. When a show focuses so much on killer jokes, background details can get lost. That's exactly what happens in Mom's the World.
We come from nothing, and we're gonna become nothing. The end. Night, Stewie.
There is clearly a painting hanging on Stewie's wall in this scene. But when he gets up to play with his ball, the painting vanishes. It's not exactly crucial to this episode's plot, but it is a mistake nonetheless. Number 8. An episode where Meg is taking Quagmire's advice? What could go wrong?
I want you to drink this glass of raw eggs.
I don't see any yolks.
Just drink it.
In episode 4 of season 12, Meg spills her lunch on a classmate and has to fight him.
3 o'clock, Friday. I will destroy you.
Right before the big fight, Quagmire is standing behind Meg as her coach, but in a creepy, hooded kind of way. In the next overhead shot, he disappears completely. Seems unlikely Quagmire could have run off that fast. Number 9. This episode is a fan favorite, but it didn't stop us from finding plot holes. In season 9's And Then There Were Fewer, almost the entire Quahog crew is invited to a dinner party. Before long, the night turns into a murder mystery. When the gang splits up to search for Muriel, Meg falls through floorboards and we assume she's trapped. The same happens to Tom Tucker. He gets trapped behind this secret wall. Moments later, though, both Meg and Tom appear over Muriel's body as if they were never trapped. How could animators explain this plot hole? Number 10. Again with the eye mistakes? In the episode Seahorse Seashell Party, the family is in the living room fighting. But we're focused on something weird going on with Stewie. As Stewie gets off the couch, his left pupil jumps right out of his eye and sticks onto his forehead. Number 11. What did she just say? In episode 2 of season 5, the gang become enemies when a trophy they won mysteriously goes missing. When the wives are parked in a van as part of an espionage mission, there's a pretty obvious mistake. Lois mistakenly calls Bonnie Debbie.
When I get him home, I swear to God, I'm gonna grease up
That's fine, Debbie.
Debbie does sound pretty close to Bonnie, but that's still a pretty substantial mistake. Number 12. Sometimes mistakes are hidden in the background. Luckily, we catch even the most subtle errors like this one. In Season 3's Christmas special, the husbands ditch their families to roam around Quahog to drink. Joe takes a fall when he tries and fails to climb a light post. But look behind him. A store sign goes from reading Quahog Sporting Goods to Quahog Sporting Goods. Seems animators should have kept more dictionaries on hand. Number 13. Whose car is that? Even though we can't help feeling bad for Meg and a fish out of water, it's one of the rare episodes where we get to see the mother-daughter duo as a main storyline. But here's the confusing part. When Lois and Meg leave for their vacation, they use the family's only car to travel. But later in the episode, when the women are still away, Peter is seen pulling into the driveway with the same car. How can the car be in two places at once? No, seriously, we want to hear theories for this one. Number 14. In the episode No Meals on Wheels, Peter discovers the wonders we all love about onesies. Warm, comfortable, and...
Dad!
Oh yeah, prone to static electricity. When Peter walks over to the couch, notice there's nothing on the floor. But when the camera pans out, there it is. A carpet appears out of thin air. The carpet is useful for Peter's new prank, but it doesn't make much sense that it just appeared like that. Number 15. In the episode Da Boom, Peter gets paranoid that the world is going to end. Naturally, he forces his family to hide in their basement. When Brian reaches the bottom, his head very obviously experiences an animation glitch, where it chops in half, then goes back to normal for the rest of the episode. This one's really quick, and by the looks of it, kinda painful.
Honey, are you pregnant?
No.
Number 16. We know Jolly Farm is supposed to be a magical place, but even this seems strange. When Stewie reveals to his fellow cast of Jolly Farm that he is a boy in the episode Ghosts Do What We Do, other children are seen sitting on the ground. In one shot, this child's hair is blonde, but in the next, it's a way darker shade of brown. Seems animators dropped the ball on this scene. We sure enjoyed finding these subtle mistakes you missed in Family Guy. But given that there's so many funny and detailed moments in this series, we wouldn't be surprised if we missed a few. Should we look at the mistakes we didn't mention in another video? Let us know about the ones you found in the comments. For all the details you want to know about your favorite animated shows and movies, subscribe to The Things Animated.